One of the most common, most overlooked causes of hair loss, dryness, and slow growth is scalp irritation. And sometimes we don't recognize irritation until it becomes like a full-on meltdown on your scalp, okay? A little itching here, a little tightness and redness there, and then all of a sudden your scalp is waving a red flag like, hey, something is not right. But here's the thing, your scalp always whispers before it screams, meaning if you catch the whispers early, you can protect your hair and your scalp from damage before it even starts. And sometimes you can save it after the damage has already started, okay? And this is where I'm going to start to introduce a little bit of the mindset piece, because scalp health and hair health as well is not just physical, okay? It's a reflection of what's going on inside the body, and sometimes even your stress levels, okay? Because I always say your hair and scalp are not separate from your body. They are messengers. They're always telling you what's going on. It's just up to us to learn how to listen. So why does scalp irritation matter in the first place? Why is it even a big deal? When your scalp is irritated, inflamed, or stressed, your follicles can potentially shut down. And that means they stop producing strong strands. That means they can get inflamed. That means your follicles become weaker. And irritation, if left untreated, can turn into things like shedding, thinning, or breakage later. Okay. Remember, your scalp is the foundation from which strong, healthy hair grows. So just like the skin on your face, your scalp has its own microbiome, its own barrier, and its own balance of oils and hydration. Okay. And when those things are off balance, issues like dryness, oiliness, itching, dandruff, all of those things can start to appear. So it's important to understand a little bit of scalp science just to know how to restore balance and how to encourage growth and prevent further irritation or buildup. So I want to break down 4 of the biggest culprits that I found that cause irritation, how to spot them early, and what to do instead, because there's always a symptom to problems that we have with our hair and scalp. So let's look at the first one. Now, one of the first irritants is fragrance, okay? This is the one that we probably look at first when we're buying products, because what's the first thing that we do when we see something in the store that we think we want to try? We open the top, we flip the top off, we unscrew the top, and we do what? We smell it. We want to know what it smells like. And that's important because we don't want anything in our hair that we don't like the way it smells, or if it doesn't have enough smell. Like, we want to be able to smell the things we put on our hair and on our body, and that's fair, right? But strong fragrance, especially when it's in like the top 3 to 5 ingredients, is a huge trigger for irritation. So here's something I want you to know about the first 5 ingredients on your product labels. So on the back of every product is a list of ingredients, okay? Now, companies are supposed to list ingredients in order from the most prevalent to the least. So that means the things that are at the top of the list are what comprise the majority of that formulation. Okay. Now, also remember that products in the hair care industry are not regulated. So although companies are supposed to do this, it doesn't mean that they're always being 100% honest. Now, most of the time you'll find fragrance listed on the last ingredient, or as the last ingredient on the list. If you ever find that this is in the top 5 or even like the top half of the ingredients, it's probably going to be too strong, especially if it's a chemical-based fragrance, meaning something that's not natural, that was maybe made in a lab or something like that. Okay, so it makes the product smell gorgeous. Yes, it heightens the senses. Yes, it gives you that spa feel, but your scalp may not agree with that. So if after using a product, a shampoo, conditioner, a moisturizing cream, a hydration spray, gels, any of those things, if your scalp tingles in a bad way, if your scalp starts to feel tight, if it gets itchy within minutes of applying the product or starts burning, fragrance could be one of the culprits. Okay, so let's look at the second irritant. All right, so the second irritant are going to be essential oils that are too strong. Okay, now it probably was not, you probably were not thinking that I would say essential oils, because it's like, aren't essential oils natural? Yes. Essential oils are purely from nature, from plants, from flowers, from the twigs, the leaves, the bark, the grass, the wood. Okay. They come from citrus, fruit peels, and roots, and all of these things. Now, they do add a more therapeutic scent or more therapeutic properties for the scalp and hair, because they also provide some type of nutrients, okay, or nutritional value to your hair and your scalp. Okay. Essential oils are very concentrated in and of themselves, all right? You want to make sure that even if you're just using an essential oil, you want to dilute it, all right? Especially things like peppermint or rosemary. These are amazing, but in moderation. You will be surprised of how much or how little of these essential oils that you actually need on your hair and scalp to be effective. And then if you overuse some of these, you can actually have an adverse effect to not only where it can irritate your scalp, but you become super sensitive to all products. Okay, so we definitely don't want to do that. Now, if you experience any burning, redness, tenderness, or inflammation after using essential oils or a product that contains a lot of essential oils, it's probably because either you are sensitive to those essential oils or they have too much in the formulation. Some women feel like their scalps are on fire when they use certain growth oils, because remember, a lot of companies that are making hair growth oils are essentially just using a carrier oil and they're packing it with essential oils, okay? And they do this to make it smell good, to tell you that it has all these properties for your hair and scalp. But if they are not familiar with the science of doing product formulation and they're just dumping oils and herbs in there, it can negatively affect your hair and your scalp. So always do your due diligence and your research on companies that you're buying from that may be new businesses, or I noticed that there are a lot of companies that are newer companies, individuals that have started brands or started product lines where they're making growth oils or scalp oils. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to talk negatively about companies or people that are starting to make products. But again, if you are not experienced in product formulation, you don't understand percentages, you don't understand the amount of products or the amount of ingredients it takes for a product to be effective, you don't understand how some ingredients can cancel out other ingredients, you can potentially buy something that creates a negative reaction to your hair and scalp. I just want you to be mindful of that. I'm not saying don't support small businesses. I have a small business, but I also have a lot of experience in product formulation. Okay, I have a lot of experience in cosmetic science. I have a lot of experience in herbalism and all of those things. So I understand the importance of, I can't just go in the kitchen and make something. Okay, I have to do the math first. It has to be done on paper first. All right, and I didn't mean to go off on a tangent on that, but I just want you to be mindful of that. Okay. Now, if you're watching this video as a part of my scalp care course, I want you to know that I've included inside of the companion guide a list of some of the essential oils that I like best to help with scalp irritation if that's something that you're dealing with. So now let's talk about irritant number 3, harsh detergents. Okay. And your harsh detergents are going to be things like sulfates, ingredients like sodium lauryl sulfate or sodium laureth sulfate. These are great cleansing agents, okay? Their job is to break down oil, dirt, and product buildup. And to be fair, they are really good at their job, okay? But sometimes they are too good. Sulfates work by aggressively grabbing onto the oil and the dirt that's on your hair and scalp and washing it away, okay? That's why you get this big lather and this ultra clean feeling. But here's the issue if you already have a sensitive scalp or if you have textured hair. Now, your scalp produces natural oils for a reason, okay? And those oils, or your sebum, helps to protect the scalp barrier. It helps to prevent moisture loss. It helps to reduce irritation, and it helps to keep your scalp balanced, okay? So by itself, your scalp is really doing a lot of work that you do not see, okay? Harsh detergents sometimes can remove too much of this natural oil, and then it leaves your scalp exposed. And this disruption can lead to things like dryness, tightness, flaking, itching, irritation, okay? And then in some cases, it could lead to increased oil production because your scalp is trying to compensate for what it lost. So you end up in this cycle of you wash your hair with sulfates or harsh shampoos all the time. You end up stripping a lot of the natural oils. You end up with irritation. You try to compensate because you think, okay, your hair just needs to be cleansed again, or you end up with dandruff or flakes, and you think you need to use another product, so you wash your hair again. So you just end up in this cycle when you really didn't need to do anything but not use the harsh shampoo every time you wash your hair. So if you ever washed your hair and thought, wow, my hair feels super clean, but my scalp is a bit uncomfortable and it's a bit irritated, okay? that's probably why. Now, that squeaky clean feeling that we love after we shampoo or cleanse our hair, it can sometimes be a sign that our hair or our scalp barrier has been stripped, not refreshed. Now, here's where the nuance of this matters. It doesn't mean that all sulfates are evil. I'm not telling you do not ever use a shampoo that is clarifying or has sulfates in it, okay? It doesn't mean that you can never use them. Some scalps tolerate these just fine, especially if you have hair that's low density or low porosity, if you have heavy buildup on the hair and scalp, or if the formula is balanced with conditioning ingredients to kind of offset the harshness of the sulfates, okay? But if your scalp is already very sensitive, if it's already inflamed, if it's already extremely dry or flaky, or healing from tension from a tight hairstyle, you probably want to stay away from those, okay? Because they can slow down the healing process. All right, so think of it as using a strong household cleaner on your nice granite countertops. All right, is it effective? Yes. Is it appropriate for everyday use? Absolutely not. All right, granite is durable, but it still needs gentle care. Okay, your scalp is the same way. So that's why learning how your scalp responds to different products and ingredients is more important than following a set of blanket rules. If harsh detergents leave your scalp feeling tight, itchy, or irritated after washing, then that's a signal. That's a signal that you need to choose something a little more gentle, especially if you're doing a detox or cleansing your scalp. Even if you're cleansing your scalp or washing or shampooing your hair often, I know some people do it weekly. You don't need to use a harsh or clarifying or sulfate heavy shampoo every time you do that. Your scalp should feel clean and calm, not clean and angry. Okay, so the fourth irritant that I want to discuss is preservatives. All right, this one probably also gets misunderstood a lot. Preservatives are actually necessary. They keep water-based products from growing mold and bacteria and yeast. So without preservatives, a lot of your shampoos, conditioners, and scalp sprays, which are all water-based products, would spoil very quickly and also could cause way bigger scalp problems. Problems not only for your scalp, but for your wallet, of course, because that means you would buy something and it wouldn't last long and you have to buy it again. All right. So preservatives are not the enemy. However, some women have sensitive scalps that don't tolerate certain preservatives very well, especially stronger ones that have specific formulas with things like parabens or formaldehyde releasing preservatives. So if your scalp does not agree with a certain preservative, you might notice those same scalp irritation signals. This is your itching, persistent itching, redness, stinging, or burning, flakes that don't improve with more moisture, irritation that shows up every time you use a certain product. And here's the important part. You don't need to be a hair care chemist, or you don't have to remember ingredient lists. You don't need to fear every long word on a label because it can get overwhelming. I'm telling you to read the labels and look at the top 5 ingredients, but a lot of those are going to contain scientific names. It's not going to say preservative. It's not going to say sulfate. It's not going to say harsh detergent. It's going to give you a long scientific name that can probably be a little bit overwhelming to read or understand. Yes, you can Google it. But I just don't want you to get too overwhelmed by all of the label reading that it sounds like I'm telling you to do. Because what matters above all of that is pattern recognition, okay? What matters above all of that is listening to your hair and scalp, knowing how to understand the signals and the things that it's telling you, all right? So you start asking yourself, what does my scalp do after I use this product? Does the irritation happen with multiple products, or is it different brands? Or did my scalp used to like this product and now it's changed? Did the company change ingredients? Did they change manufacturers? These can be a lot of nuances or things that are happening behind the scenes that you don't see. Okay, so again, the best thing you can do is pay attention to what's going on with the symptoms that you're seeing. All right. If certain formulas consistently bother your scalp, then yes, that could also be a problem. Your scalp and your hair are excellent communicators. Okay, I said that in the beginning. They are messengers. They tell you very clearly what they don't tolerate, and sometimes they do it right away. Okay, faster than any patch test or Google search ever could. So the goal isn't perfection. The goal is awareness. All right. So when you learn your scalp's patterns, you start choosing better products. Okay. Or choosing products becomes easier and way less overwhelming. Your scalp isn't just asking for clean, toxic free buzzwords. All right. It's asking for you to pick or select products that are compatible, okay, for your scalp specifically. And once you learn that language, everything changes. There's a lot of information in this lesson today. So kind of just to wrap it up and to give you a few things that you can do next or going forward. If you're not sure about a product, you can always do a patch test. So you can take a little bit of that product and put it in a specific area of your scalp, on your wrist or inside your elbow, and see if you get any type of allergic reaction. Okay, those are where the more sensitive parts of your skin are, and that will help you to know if a certain product or essential oil or fragrance is going to cause problems for your scalp. Give your scalp time to adjust. Okay, I know a lot of times we switch products every day. All right. If you're using a particular product to solve a problem, you want to give it a little bit of time for your hair and scalp to adjust. Okay. But if it's causing itching or irritation or things like that, then of course discontinue using it. But if you're not seeing results that you want after the first use, that doesn't mean the product is bad or it's not working. You just need to give it a little time. As far as your scalp goes, avoid scratching, especially digging in with your nails or with a pencil or with a rat tail comb. We don't want to do that. All right. Of course, this should go without saying, reduce tension styles. You should not be wearing styles that are pulling and tugging on your scalp, not only causing irritation, but causing pain to you. Switch to gentler cleansers. They work just as well, I promise you. I think a lot of times we think a gentle cleanser, no, my hair needs some. No, a gentle cleanser will work just fine. If it doesn't lather up as thick and as heavy as you're used to seeing, that doesn't mean it's not working. Some products can cleanse without all of the suds and all of the soapiness that we're used to. Try to find fragrance-free or low fragrance options. I know that's probably like, oh, but I want my shampoo and my conditioner to smell. Yeah, but if the smell or the fragrance is causing problems, then you probably should stop using that. And then keep a simple list of products that you think are triggering your hair and scalp. And if you can get even more specific to a list of ingredients you think may be triggering your hair and scalp, that would be even better. Okay, and this gets easier the more that you practice doing it, and your scalp, remember, will teach you what it likes. All right, so this wraps up my quick little lesson on preventing scalp irritation. If this helped you and you're ready to go, or you want to go a little bit deeper into scalp health and learn things like the right way to clarify, products to use, balancing protein and moisture, nutrition for hair follicles, understanding specific scalp conditions, and knowing how to treat your hair and scalp based on different seasons, then join me in the full Scalp Care Mini Course. This video is available for free on YouTube because I wanted you to kind of get a feel for what's inside the course. This lesson is just the beginning of lots of great information. I take you step by step to finally understand what your scalp needs and how to give it real support. I'll leave the link below. And as always, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one.